what is your absolute favorite method in terms of styles of strength training for transforming athletes and transforming people's bodies, like the general population and athletes? Like, what is the go-to that will apply for everything that you like to use for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. My favorite strength training method, I would say, is the every minute on the minute, or EMOM method.
I hate that one.
And and that has broad application to general population as well as the athletic population. And depending on how you choose the reps and how you sequence the exercises, you can build strength, you can build muscle, you can build anaerobic capacity. So it's a very versatile method.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoy that.
Like when
it's also
sorry, continue.
It's also beneficial for your more analytical lifters, who tend to get into their head, where when you're doing an EMOM method, for those who don't know, you're doing an exercise for, let's say it's 5 reps. That 5 reps could take 15 to 20 seconds. Then for the duration of that minute, call it 40 to 45 seconds, you're resting, and then you're going again. And you're going to do that for 10, 12, maybe even 15 sets with that exercise. And there's no time to really get into your head and think about the next thing. You have to just complete the set, rack the bar, catch your breath, and it's time to go again.
Yes.
And so you get really good at executing and turning off the mind and just focusing on being very, very present with the exercise and being really connected. And so I like it for those reasons as well.
For that method, is it important to use a lower rep count, or does it?
Yeah, you can. Now, if you're training to improve anaerobic capacity, or even conditioning, and it's like more of a metabolic approach, then the reps would skew a little higher, and so it might take closer to 30, maybe even 40 seconds to complete a set with 20 to 30 seconds rest.
So like,
and that's
incomplete rest. So like
incomplete rest. Yeah. So I would use that for someone like yourself who the metabolic demands are so extremely high that you need that level of conditioning in the cage.
And for those who are not very familiar with using this method, or like, I know you use intervals. So like sometimes people use 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Like your work to rest ratio is even. So what I tend to encourage with I love this method. I hate this method and I love this method. I love this method to use. I hate the method to do.
Right.
But when I start out, like when my fitness or base level is low, like when we start camp, like a few months ago, we did that step up test, and to me it felt like shit. Right. When you start out, I always like to start with a lower work and then a higher rest. And then as I progress through the weeks and the months, I get to the incomplete rest point where I'm working for 40 seconds and then resting for 20 and then working for 40 seconds. So it's almost very similar to using intervals, but you use it in the 60 seconds set.
Yes. You're absolutely right. It is a form of interval training, where we're just the minute is the unit of time.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so
right. Everything is based on that minute.
Now, do you find like speaking of just intervals, do you find like if someone's doing something for more than a minute, is it useful? Because I find it it's very inapplicable at that point, even for explosive sports. Like if I was doing, so let's pick the simple airdyne bike, and I was pedaling as hard as I can, or if I was pedaling for over a minute, either I'm a super fucking athlete and I'm on some steroids, or I'm not working hard enough in that time. Like, do you find like if you cross over that minute where you're trying to work an athlete over that minute, there's some diminishing returns at that point? Or
well, the short answer is it depends. Someone a high level athlete like yourself, I could extend to that length of time. I wouldn't necessarily do that often, but I could go that far. But for the majority of people, I might keep my interval length to 15 to 30 seconds, and then we may be looking at equal or more rest. Like maybe it's a 2-to-1 rest to work ratio, or it's a 1-to-1 rest to work ratio.
And also when we're talking about this method of training, if you look at some of the other, I would say big box gyms, like I always pick on them because it's right outside my door. There's one right downstairs from me.
Right.
Orange Theory. When they always advertise high intensity interval training and methods like you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you go and you watch them work out, they're not actually doing it. You understand what I'm saying? It's more of a media marketing tool to attract people in than to actually doing it. Because like I look at some of those gyms and they're advertising we're doing HIIT training. Well,
it's a buzzword now.
If you're doing HIIT training for more than, in my opinion, 15 minutes, you're not really doing HIIT training.
No.
Right? Because the whole point of it, of the every minute on the minute and those intervals, is to really tax your body in a short amount of time. But if you're now working out for 45 minutes doing HIIT, you're not really doing high intensity because your heart rate has to level off at some point. And if it's staying like in the 130, 140 zone because you're extending it for this long period of time, it's not high intensity, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right. It's a term. It's a marketing term. It's a buzzword, HIIT, and a lot of businesses are built around that. That term, and they use stations, they use intervals, and yes, that approach has some value, but it's not true high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training usually involves a 5-to-1 rest to work ratio. Yes. So you would do something for 20 seconds, and you would take 100 seconds to recover.
Yeah.
So it would be like a 2-minute bout of work and rest, right? 20 seconds on, 100 seconds off. In that 20 seconds, whether it's an airdyne bike or a sprint, you're really going at 100% of your capacity or attempting to do that. Now, you need that amount of rest to be able to produce the same quality a second, third, fourth, and possibly fifth time.
Yeah.
You can't do that for half an hour.
No.
You can't do that for an hour. It's impossible.
Hey everybody, if you enjoyed that clip, please head on over to the link below to my YouTube page and watch the rest of the podcast. If not, you can always find me on Spotify or Apple or Google Play or all those. We're on everything. Download, listen in your car, get it going. Thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.